For Hype Plus, I'm Tatiana Le'Joy. At the height of his success, Tupac Amaru Shakur represented blackness, strength, honesty, and love. The thug-life rap star was unafraid to speak from his heart, which resulted in words that reflected humility and bravado all in one. When it came to his love life, Shakur's warrior demeanor and Hollywood smile would make women of all races blush in his midst, which resulted in several notable love affairs of the late rapper. Madonna became famous for being a pop music superstar that broke women's stereotypes in a male-dominated industry. In an industry that has a revolving door of music artists, Madonna kept herself relevant by making catchy pop songs and collaborating with songwriters and producers who were on the cutting edge and bringing unique sounds to her audience. Both Tupac and Madonna were pioneers in rebelling against the sexist and racist agendas in the music industry, so it's not surprising that they would eventually cross paths and become friends. There were even rumors of them dating. Like most Hollywood stories, it can be difficult to determine what is propaganda and what is fact, and this is especially true when it comes to Hollywood romances. One romance that many believed was propaganda was that between Tupac and Madonna. Years later, Madonna confirmed their relationship in a 2015 Howard Stern interview, which would be the first time she ever publicly confirmed the rumors of them dating. This powerful couple knew the impact of their relationship, which is why it's one of Hollywood's best-kept secrets. It's easy to suggest that they knew this affair would push the conversation of interracial relationships to the forefront years later. Tupac and Madonna were from two different worlds, but had much in common, with them both being trendsetters and not being afraid to challenge the status quo. Individually, both artists influenced our culture more than what most influencers and artists could do in a lifetime. So naturally, when the two met, they developed a radical bond. However, this bond was not powerful enough to combat the racial societal restraints that were heavy at the time. Here's why Tupac dumped Madonna. The romance began in 1993 through actress Rosie Perez when she hooked them up at the Soul Train Music Awards.
To Soul Train Music Awards. Pac was a very, very close friend of mine. We sit in the front row and Madonna just goes, and I said, what? She goes, hook me up. And I went over to Pac and I said, Pac, Madonna wants to hook up with you. He said, where?
It's no surprise that women were upset to see Rosie as Tupac's date because he had the dating life men twice his age would envy. In his 25 years of life, he was romantically connected with women of all types, including Keisha Morris, Faith Evans, Whitney Houston, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Kidada Jones. Kidada Jones is an actress, model, fashion designer, and daughter of the legendary record producer Quincy Jones. Kidada and Tupac met at a nightclub where he approached her to apologize for a disrespectful statement he made about her father. In a 1993 Source magazine interview, Tupac went in on interracial relationships, and Quincy Jones was one that he criticized. All he, Quincy, does is stick his D in white bees and make effed up kids. This goes to show how passionate Pac was about the black culture and why it is so shocking that he had a secret relationship with Madonna prior to dating Kidada. But he wasn't alone in his opinion about interracial dating. In 1990, 63% of non-black adults surveyed saying that they would be very or somewhat opposed to a close relative marrying a black person. Knowing this, Tupac had a loyalty to the black community that he constantly spoke about in interviews and in songs. In Tupac's song, White Man's World, he says, I say the darker the flesh, then the deeper the roots. I give a holler to my sisters on welfare. Tupac cares if don't nobody else care. And I know they like to beat you down a lot. Dr. Umar Johnson is an example of someone who stands strong on pro-black values and is not shy about expressing his views. In this interview, he details why he is against interracial dating.
The black family is under attack. Only 1 out of every 4 black women gets married. The black woman is last likely to get married. She's the last married, the first divorced. We have what? 2/3 of our children being raised by working class and impoverished single black female-led house homes. The destruction of a nation begins in the home of its families.
In his mind, dating Madonna might have seemed like a betrayal to the sisters he's referring to in this song. A 3-page breakup letter written by Tupac to Madonna while he was in prison surfaced and revealed how race played a part in his decision to end the relationship. I must apologize to you because, like you said, I haven't been the kind of friend I know I am capable of being. Not because I am evil or because you weren't worthy, but at the risk of sounding overdramatic, the effects of racism make it difficult for a young black man to properly show affection for an older white woman. For you to be seen with a black man wouldn't in any way jeopardize your career. If anything, it would make you seem that much more open and exciting. But for me, at least in my previous perception, I felt due to my image, I would be letting down half of the people who made me what I thought I was. As mentioned by Rosie Perez, Tupac was excited to hook up with Madonna when he found out she was interested. If his fight for the black plight was so strong, where did this excitement come from? It's no secret that black men have controversial patterns and statistics when it comes to interracial dating. According to Pew Research, for those with a high school diploma or less, 17% of black men are intermarried, while among those with a bachelor's degree, 30% of black men are intermarried. These statistics imply that when black men make more money, they tend to date outside of their race. Is this because their status affords them a perceived luxury to date a lighter skin or woman of another race? Was it Madonna's status as the queen of pop that excited Pac? Or was his excitement derived from a subconscious craving that most black men have to date women outside of their race as a status symbol? We see this trend today heavily with black men. Kanye and Kim, Jay Ellis and Nina Senekar, and Coco Austin and Ice-T are just a few. Kanye said it best.
You stay right, girl, and when he get on, he leave your for a white girl.
Black men have a bad rap for dating black women while they're on the come up and then leaving them for a woman of another race when they attain success. Among blacks, intermarriage is twice as prevalent for male newlyweds as it is for their female counterparts. While 24% of recently married black men have a spouse of a different race or ethnicity, 12% of recently married black women are intermarried. The internal dilemma that Tupac had while dating Madonna was possibly encouraged by hereditary loyalty. Pac's passion for racial equality was certainly influenced by his parents. His mother, Afeni, and his biological father, Billy Garland, were active Black Panther Party members in New York in the late 1960s. The duplicity of being the son of members of the Black Panther Party and parading around with a white woman could have internally weighed on him. In the letter, Tupac went on to address an interview where Madonna claimed she was going to rehabilitate all the rappers and basketball players. Those words cut me deep, saying how I had never known you to be with any rappers besides myself. It was at this moment, out of hurt and a natural instinct to strike back and defend my heart and ego, that I said a lot of things. In the antebellum South, sexual reactions between black men and white women threatened the economical institution of slavery in ways that a sexual relationship between a black woman and a white man did not. This was because the status of a child's freedom was dictated by the race of their mother. Therefore, when a white woman had children with a black man, it challenged the boundaries of slavery and freedom, being that a mixed-race child born to a white mother would grant the child freedom. In this sense, it could incentivize a black man to have a child with a white woman for the betterment of his child. On the other hand, in the era of American slavery, it was believed that black male slaves were sexual threats to white women, when in reality, many of those white women were raping the slaves. These women would threaten to tell their husbands that they were raped by the slave if he didn't comply. This narrative is still carried today as we see black men villainized and white women victimized, instilling a separation and an inherent distrust between black men and white women.
I'm gonna tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Please tell them whatever you like.
Tupac knew how big his influence was and how his relationship with Madonna could diminish the social justice that he was pursuing, so he decided to end his relationship. However, was he justified in this decision, or did he feed into the separation that white supremacists have always wanted? An unpopular opinion is that interracial relationships actually help accelerate the fight against systemic racism. White people who marry black partners are more likely to have an elevated level of understanding and are more likely to think beyond theoretical ideas to combat racism as a result of dealing with real issues that they may have been oblivious to before they had a black partner and/or child. Madonna was already known for going against the grain. She was the only major recording artist in the 80s and 90s to support gay rights, address issues of gender, promote HIV/AIDS awareness, and talk about sexuality. Apart from Liz Taylor, no other major celebrity would touch the subject of HIV/AIDS for fear of damaging their careers. She could have possibly served as a strong ally for the social battle that Tupac was fighting. We have to remember that individuals who played prevalent roles in the civil rights movement were not solely of African descent. It was an effort of Americans of all ethnicities that led to its success, including white people. There were white people in power such as Walter Reuther, Barbara Henry, and Morris Dees as examples of allies that helped push our agenda forward and ignite change. Artist, author, and activist Sam Killerman said, "The world is getting too small for both an us and a them. Us and them have become codependent, intertwined, fixed to one another. We have no separate fates, but are bound together in one. and our fear of one another is the only thing capable of our undoing. Tupac's reason for leaving Madonna for some was built on revolutionary principles, while others see Tupac's heart as the one leading the way. Do you think Tupac was justified in his reasoning for breaking up with Madonna? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Stay up to date with the latest news and comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel. Follow Comedy Hype across all social media and look out for original content on our new streaming service at comedyhype.com. For Hype Plus, I'm Tatiana Le'Joy.